every time I think that Nintendo has fully turned the corner as a company, they go and do something that makes me question everything. And it happened once again this morning as I prepped and prepared for Nintendo to potentially announce a Nintendo Direct to set the stage for 2020. We have rumors of a new Switch model, perhaps the Pro coming, and maybe Nintendo will really deliver a dynamite year in spite of the concerns that it could be a slow one and the Emily Rogers rumor that there's a bunch of Wii U ports coming and the very empty first half of the year. I was ready with open arms. And then they announced a Pokemon Direct. This Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, they're dropping 20 minutes of Pokemon knowledge on our faces. Now, if this was 2018 or 2019, I would be going crazy. I think most people would be incredibly excited. But in 2020, after 2 years of Pokemon titles headlining the fall, are we really excited for another Pokemon Direct, especially when we just about know it's not going to have some tentpole title as the main focus? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Let me know in the comments down below how bummed you were, or I guess how excited you were, to see that a Pokemon Direct is the first thing we're getting in 2020. Now, I guess any information is better than no information, but it really seemed like the waters were churning and the gears were turning, and we were going to get an official Direct to, like I said, establish what 2020 is going to be. They have so little announced, and there's no preventing them from having another Direct. It's going to at least be a few weeks. They're not going to have another one next week. The pattern is usually a couple of weeks or a month between these game-specific Directs and an official Nintendo Direct. Now, Nintendo can buck that trend at any point they want. They could have a Direct on Friday if that's what they chose to do, but they won't. So this is what we're getting. And it's disappointing to me and frustrating, and I think it's fair to express this because we're waiting to see what the Switch is going to do this year. We're waiting to see what our hard-earned dollars that bought a Switch, maybe even bought a Switch Lite recently, are going to get us this calendar. And we don't know outside of Animal Crossing New Horizons and a bunch of Wii U ports and Wii ports, Wii port, new 3DS port, Xenoblade. Anyhow, this Direct will probably have a focus on things like Pokemon Home, Pokemon Sleep, and maybe DLC for Sword and Shield. Now, I think that's exciting. DLC for a mainline Pokemon game that is substantial could be very cool. Now, if it's just going to be a few minor enhancements or it's going to be bringing in just small changes, I don't really think that is worthy of a Direct. But if they're going to come out and say, wow, we have like an extra campaign, or it's like true single-player DLC like they've added for Breath of the Wild, then that would be fantastic. Or if somehow, some way, there is another major Pokemon title coming out this year, but I just don't see it. They did Let's Go, they did Pokken Tournament, remember, the year before, even though that's a port. Sword and Shield in 2019, do they really have enough oomph to push another $60 Pokemon product? We know that they're working on Detective Pikachu for Switch that supposedly has additional content or an extra chapter or whatnot, so that'll get discussed here, I'm sure. Maybe they have a spin-off. Dude, if they come out and announce Pokemon Snap 2, I'll eat my words and say, okay, this was worth it. But anything else, a remake or a Pokken Tournament 2, I personally do not care. I would like new games, please, especially when it seems like this year is going to be dipping back into previous console generations. Everybody else is going forward. I'd love for Nintendo to go forward. And honestly, as much of a Pokemon fan as I am, I'd like to see them move beyond this franchise, not permanently, but at least for a year. Like, we just got inundated with Pokemon across the board, and I know it's one of their most successful, popular properties. Obviously, Go is a crazy animal over on phones, and Sword and Shield sold phenomenally well despite the controversies. I just am ready for something new. It starts to get a little bit repetitive if you know that Nintendo is, here we go, it's another Pokemon game. I mean, I will champion the innovation and the risk of Splatoon till the end of my days, because I wish Nintendo would do more of that. Yeah, they've had some hiccups along the way. ARMS wasn't as successful as Splatoon, but when they decide to be creative and pull something out of their sleeve that you don't expect, I think it's exciting. I mean, there's also a bunch of other properties that have not been touched, And going back to the Pokemon well feels very safe and frankly, very boring. Right now, I'm bored with my Switch. And there's a lot of great indie games, but a lot of those can be played elsewhere. I'm not saying I've played everything on Switch. I'm just saying I'm currently confused as to what I'm supposed to be looking forward to on the platform. And I think that, again, is valid. I was hoping that this Direct would clear that up for me. And even if it was smaller games, even if it was ports or third-party additions, there would be something to say, hey, like, this is why I have a Switch right now, and this is what I'm going to earmark on the calendar. I don't really care about Pokemon Home. I don't really care about Pokemon Sleep. Don't really care about probably anything that they legitimately could announce in this Direct. Now, maybe it's just not for me, and that's fine, but I then say, what is Nintendo doing? When are they going to tell us their plans? When are they going to let us know what games they've got this year, man? Animal Crossing New Horizons is their big first quarter game, maybe even their big first half of the year game, and it's fine that they want to focus all attention on that, and they expect that to carry them. But look, Animal Crossing isn't for everyone, and even if it is, it's one game. This is a console, my friends. One big game for the whole first half of the year isn't really going to cut it. We lost Doom Eternal. We don't know when that's coming. I mean, we can hope that things like The Outer Worlds get a release date within the first half of the year. And we know that there's Tokyo Mirage Sessions and Xenoblade Chronicles if you haven't played them or if you love those games and want to play them again. But guys, the Switch problem, the Nintendo problem of not having enough software is starting to really creep up upon us. And they will say that indies are carrying, that eShop is carrying, and it might be. But after a while, I promise you, you can't just live on these $10, $15 games that are also most likely on PC or soon other platforms or already on other platforms forever. It doesn't work like that. I mean, it does, I guess, if you're a very niche dedicated handheld, but for a console, you gotta have titles. And they did a really nice job of keeping them consistent, especially in year one, and even in most parts of year 2 and 3, they did a nice job of having something major to look forward to, even if it happened to be, just Nintendo. If they couldn't get third party, they were like, hey, we're putting stuff out. Last year, they loaded up the second half of the year. Maybe they do that again, but we need to know about it. This Pokemon Direct is an oddity. Maybe there's something more than meets the eye. I've seen some people toss about the idea of what if there is a Smash Bros. Trailer attached to this, and that could go one of two ways, I think. Either one, it is a new Pokemon fighter, in which case, okay, that's interesting. Or two, the trailer starts with Pokemon and then somehow branches off into another character. Now, if they are able to cap and caboose this Direct with a Smash Bros. Trailer, I feel like all will be forgiven. Now, that really doesn't do anything for people like me who are looking forward to what games can I buy for this system and what games can I play and what titles should I look forward to in 2020, but it will galvanize the Nintendo hardcore, it will galvanize the audience, and it will be looked at as a success because Smash Brothers is just that darn huge. No guarantees of that, though. I feel like, goodness gracious, what is happening? And when are we going to get to know more information? Please let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this. Are you excited about this Direct, or are you starting to get a little agitated and irritated that we don't know and they're not telling us what is coming this year for a major console? Obviously, there's a lot of transition happening in gaming in 2020, so the second half of the year is a mirage for just about everybody. But the other platforms do have plenty of things coming January through June. And the Switch has a select few, and they don't want to say anything about the rest. So unless this is going to be Pokemon Blowout, and all of a sudden we're getting, XD2, and we're getting Snap 2, and we're getting Pokken Tournament 2, and we're getting the freaking Gen 4 remake that people want, I mean, I guess it's going to be a Pokemon player, but I just don't see that happening. In fact, I would venture to say and predict that there won't be a single $60 Pokemon title announced. I think you'll get Detective Pikachu. I think you'll get more information on Sleep and Home. I think you'll get some adjustments / DLC to Sword and Shield. And I think somehow they're going to stretch that across 20 minutes. Maybe there is something new, but I feel like it'll be eShop caliber. I don't think that they're going to have another $60 Pokemon. And I'm ready to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong because I want this to be an exciting show. I'll be there to watch it. I'll have coverage, but I'm just miffed. And it makes me, like I said at the top, every time I think maybe Nintendo is really kind of changing, they do these moves that just completely furrow my eyebrows and make me super confused. And so maybe that's just how it's always going to be. And appreciating the Switch for what it is one thing. But goodness gracious, expecting at least somewhat of a calendar of games to play and buy for your system that you spent hundreds of dollars on, especially when a new one just came out, a Switch Lite just came out a couple months ago, I don't think that's too much to ask. Give me your take in the comments down below. I'll see y'all on Thursday morning. Who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. Until that time, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and are pumped for 2020, even if Nintendo is making us nervous. I'm sure they'll come out with something. Be nice to know about it. Until then, though, have a fantastic day, everybody. I love you a lot. Switch Force out.